Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Dr. Spotfire Monthly Session. I am your host, along with Atira Natar and Boris Nachev. Do you want to say hi to the audience, guys?
Hello, everyone. This is
Hi,
Atira.
everyone.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so in this session, this is the June session, every Tuesday, the first Tuesday of every month. This is a continuation of our previous Dr. Spotfire, where we talk about Spotfire authoring. And today is a continuation of that session, but we're going to focus on data wrangling, and we're going to cover other topics as well that we didn't have the time to cover last time. So we're again going to have a casual conversation with Boris, who is new to Spotfire team and the Dr. Spotfire. He also is learning the tool. And well, we have experts. Atira is a data scientist along with Boris, and also a petroleum engineer in that regard. So this is a quick disclaimer. I'll skip through that. And just a reminder for our audience, Spotfire is a visual data science platform that helps smart people rapidly create interactive visualizations, analytic applications to solve complex industry problems. Okay, so with that, just a reminder that we are the Dr. Spotfire team, and we are here to help. Let me explain how the Dr. Spotfire office hours works, and everything comes from an idea. That idea goes through the idea portal. We have different means through the Spotfire communities, the main one. LinkedIn, you can also message us via LinkedIn, send us an email, or Twitter, or instant messages, or even the YouTube comments, and we'll take that input from you, and then we'll take it. You can even have those questions in these live monthly sessions. Just keep the questions coming, and we'll answer them live today. And the output of those feedback from you are, custom visualizations. They end up on new data functions or Spotfire apps, accelerators, data connectors, articles, all of that available in the community at no cost. So our motto is learning is not driven by answers, but by questions. And again, let those questions flow, and we will be answering that live. And if not, you can always go back to the pre-recorded sessions or watch this later, and you can see those comments, and then we will reply those questions for you or comments. So this session, authoring session, part 2, data wrangling. We saw this a real recap from the previous session. We talked about handling data volume, collaborative work, use spatial capabilities, and now we're going to do the data wrangling, data function possibilities. We're going to talk a little bit of data functions, and also the process of publishing and sharing your analysis for everyone else. So as a recap, I encourage you to, if you haven't seen the previous session, just go back and watch it in our YouTube channel. We extracted 2.7 million rows of records, and we imported them back again in few seconds, less than a minute. We were able to do all that, and then we also show some spatial capabilities by trailing all that data using maps and plotting all those 2.7 million rows of data into the dashboard, into the analysis. We also talk on how the Spotfire consumes data from different sources, and so just go back and look if you missed it, but it's not a requirement to follow up on these other topic, which is data wrangling. We also talk about collaborative work. We talk about the collaboration panel, and also the bookmarks, so you know how that works and how that works technically. So with that, we start talking about data wrangling, and we're going to talk about some concepts. So what is data wrangling? Data wrangling refers to any data transformation required to prepare a data set for downstream analysis, visualizations, or operational consumption. And there are three main kind of data project contexts, which are the exploration. This is when you take a new data set and try to understand what kind of information contains and how that information is structured. It's like opening up a box of that you haven't seen before and you want to see what's inside. Then you have the curation, and once you understand that data set from the exploration phase, the curation involves organizing and storing data in a way that makes sense, it's easy to access, and you can analyze that later. It's like taking all those items from that box and putting them away neatly into shelves and containers so you can find what you need quickly. And then you have this production where it happens when you identify valuable insights or applications from the data set and you want to start generating those insights or applications on an ongoing automated basis. It's like setting up a factory to mass produce the valuable items from that box so you can continually receive the benefits without having to manually recreate the process each time. Any questions or comments from the audience or from you guys?
I mean, we can also summarize it in a way that it's where 80% of the time is spent of any data analyst or data professional. What do you think?
Yeah, it's and that's what I'm going to talk about next. So we have some roles and common projects, and we have these different personas. You have the data journalist that tells interesting stories by analyzing the data and uncovering insights. Or for example, you have the data analyst that provides regular reports and answers to follow up questions using data. You have data scientists like you that explores those data sets to find new ways to create valuable product services. Or you have also the data architects or database managers that organizes and stores the data in an optimal way for future uses. So there also we can talk about common data analysis projects. And these data analysis projects, we have the basic reporting that is a core way business use analytics across all industries, provides feedback on how effective the action and strategies used were. And I'm sorry, I got distracted. And then, for example, the basic reporting reports is like reporting on sales performance across product lines. Then we have this casual analysis that tries up to explain why certain outcomes occur, that uses complex statistical analysis of inputs and outputs. And some of the examples is like the causes of health outcomes or brand awareness that will be. And then we have the 360-degree view which integrates multiple data sources for a complete picture. It enables seeing patterns across different data sets. For example, combine customer data from different sources. And then another example is the predictive modeling that identifies patterns in past data to predict future events. Common examples are customer churn, product recommendations, and it's also used in finance to predict markets, risk shift, and many other applications. Do you have any other examples that you want to talk about, Boris or Atir?
There's also, I mean, I guess it could be an extension to the predictive modeling where you involve your domain knowledge with that, or I mean, one of the examples is called physics-informed machine learning, for example. It's like you're not only doing the modeling part purely, you kind of like trying to validate what you're doing with the physics or like with the domain knowledge behind, or like related to the problem that you're working on. For example, if you're trying to predict a pressure in a well or a stress in a formation, you don't go by what the model gives you. You try to kind of like pass that through a domain knowledge filter to validate and then give more value to your model.
Yeah, and on my, I think you kind of covered quite a lot of those pieces. But from my perspective, it's EDA, the whole exploratory data analysis, that it can, it is where it can lead to any different way, right? It can lead more towards predictive modeling after that, or domain expertise. It somewhat stays as a separate topic and not in the same time, right? The EDA. Extremely big projects, but I personally have seen also data projects that they full stop on EDA because it's where most of the value of the data is currently, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure that the audience is want to see how that works in Spotfire, and we'll do that in a little bit. But I want to also talk about the data wrangling process. So the core data wrangling process involves 4 key activities. The first one is the access part, which extracting or pulling in the raw data from sources like data sets through APIs or files. This is kind of the extract part or the traditional ETL pipelines. That's the access part. And then you have the transformation, where you apply functional changes to the data and restructuring, enriching with new columns, or you probably want to add rows, or you want to do some cleaning process in the meanwhile. And this is the core of the wrangling piece. And then you have the profiling, which you analyze and summarize the data to understand its structure, the quality, statistical properties, and this guides what transformations are needed. And finally, you have the output that generates the final wrangle data sets for transformation scripts, that kind of information that Spotfire has as a self-document way of doing things. And I can show you a quick example of how that works. So in this case, I have, this is the data canvas. This is my regular table. I have, this is the final data that I have, but let me show you the source of the data. If I have it, let me show you the, 1 second. Let me see where it is. That Excel sheet. Here in the data canvas, what I did first is to open this file, and you can see here in the information where it's coming from. It's an Excel file in this case, but it can be any other data source. And then I applied a transformation. You look at the data, the data looks like this. So you have a couple of columns, and I have multiple sheets in that Excel sheet. This one is for a specific department, let's say, I think it's HR. But each one has, this kind of format in Excel where you have your budget, your forecast, and maybe some other financial properties right there. And then you have one column for each month. This has a couple of disadvantages because when Spotfire likes long and skinny formats, and that's why we want to consolidate all that data from different sheets. And then what we did is transformation, and we unpivot the transformation, and now we have the financial planning. We have the budget and forecast here, and then we have the month, and then we have one for every month, and then we have the value. That's the process that we did in this step. And then we added some rows, and again, we took the same data set. I created a transformation that puts the data this way. You can see how it is already. And then I added those rows, and you can see that now I have the HR. It's a new column that specifies where the origin of the data is. One comes from HR, and the other one comes from IT, and I have my budget and forecast for these departments. And I did the same again for the next one, which is this comes from finance. So let's say that finance, I have that, but I added a transformation. I did in this transformation I did in one step, and this one I did it in 2 steps. I first loaded the data, and then I create this transformation. So the data is in the same format, and I added the columns again. So I have this final, and then I did another transformation. I pivoted. Pivot is by splitting this column that I have my budget and forecast into 2 columns. I want 1 column for budget, 1 column for forecast, in case I want to do some comparison between them, and that will make it easier for my calculation. So I pivoted the data, and now I have just the month, the origin of the data, or the department, and then my budget and forecast. I can create aggregations for my budget and forecast if I have many rows. Maybe I have more records that I have in my original data set. Maybe I have a daily view of all those transactions, and I want to aggregate it by month, and that's how I have them here. And that's the final output, and that's one of the concept that we talked about previously. And this is how it looks. I think Boris he's new, relatively new in Spotfire, and wants to do some demo. Unless Atir, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to explain that you can always replace these files in case you get a new version of the data without affecting the underlying transformations that you've done.
Oh, that's very good point, Atir. You can change you can replace you can replace the data source. Let's say that new data comes in, and you just refresh this source, or you can replace with some other file, some other source. And there's another concept. One thing is to replace the data source, and another thing is to replace the data table. Here I can replace the data source, and it's going to replace only this. But when I click replace, it's going to replace all the transformations with something else. So let's say that I export this, or maybe I have I do my data wrangling, and I have my final data output, and I tell the data managers, hey, I want a view that has this output. So the data management team will create that view, and then once the view is ready, I can just replace that all these transformations with that single source that already has all the transformations in place, maybe done in the database.
Yeah, and I think the whole canvas here is extremely powerful, right? Because it shows you every step, and you can always see where your data starts from, your source, and then track your transformations in case something has gone wrong. You can always correct it if you want to, and it presents it in a way that you can easily maneuver over it without you needing any coding experience. It's pretty much code free here, unless you obviously want to do some more complex transformation.
Yeah, that's right, Boris. We have some questions and comments from the audience. Let's go and talk about that. So we have a comment from Steven. It says, my experience is that when you replace the external files, Spotfire eliminates all the additional processes. For example, in this case, you replace the Access file, you have to redo all the columns add. Okay, that's probably on previous version of the Spotfire. A new version of Spotfire allows you to, like in previous version of the Spotfire, you used to have to create all those transformations. You're right, especially when you add rows or add columns. But now it's very easy just to change the setup. You have this interface where you say, okay, I am going to, if I remove this transformation, I just start mapping things over if I made a mistake, or I can replace the transformation altogether. So we've been progressing in that regard. And we have another question from It says, relations and key columns is something new in Spotfire 14. Not really. We have those relations, the column relationship, when you have different data tables, you can still have the relations and key columns.
It's been there for a while, but I think the what's new in Spotfire 14 and above is now you can edit the relations and key columns from the data canvas. And I think in Spotfire 14.3, you can see visually how your relations with this, like how the different tables are related to each other, and then you can edit those relations visually.
Yep. So, Boris, are you ready to do a demo?
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to share all my quick insights. Great. I think you share my screen.
Yes.
Yeah. So just to start, I was going over data wrangling, what you showed us just now, and try to get it as a real case scenario as possible. So I got some data from the World Bank. It's countries data, economics mainly. And as you can see, we have here country code. We have some metric, some another series code that is used to differentiate from the different metrics, right? And then yearly data for each country. Now, as what you mentioned, this is quite common problem when we have longitudinal data, right? It can, first of all, it has limitations in terms of number of columns, just the way that it is, and then very often we have to just turn it right, unpivot in a way, transpose the data, get our yearly column, and start analyzing it. But apart from that, as you can see, there's some other issues here. There's some empty rows. The column names are a bit not clear. We have year 2014, but then we have some so it's recognized as a string. So we will go over all that. I'm going to show you what I found, and I'm going to elevate all the code-free tools of Spotfire, because I think this is a quite important thing, right? So when you do some sort of data wrangling, you don't want to spend too much of a time just to find out how to pivot something. You don't want to have it as a Google search. Oh, I forgot how to do that in a whichever coding language you used to do it, and it's quite of an often problem, right, in a day-to-day life. But I'm just wondering, for you guys, what is the most common maybe data wrangling technique that you had to use previously with your experience?
The most common data wrangling. Well, I can show real quick these slides. Let me show my screen, and then we can talk about the data wrangling functions in Spotfire. And I can say that calculate and replace column is pretty popular. Calculate new columns as well. It's different. So you can create a calculated column after you have all the data ready, and that's just like a formula type of thing where you can put document property and stuff. But then you can also have this calculated column within the transformation, which serves for a different purpose. Change column names. Sometimes when you're not going to pivot, you can use regular expressions and other functions to change the column names. That saves a lot of time. Change data types. It's also common, especially with dates. Then we have this powerful one, filter rows. That one, the filter rows, is very powerful. It was relatively new, but you can filter rows before you load the data. So instead of loading the entire data set and then filter rows out, you can just filter rows as the data comes in. And that is based on a custom expression. And then you can also add document properties to drive that filter. So that's also a very powerful feature.
This is almost cross functions data engineering, right? Because it takes out the load from the from your memory if you're working on a local, right? So this is very powerful thing to use.
Yes, yes. And just to finish, pivot, very, I use it all the time, pivot and unpivot, and replace a specific value, and replace value. That's kind of a transformation that you can, that you also do, maybe not necessarily by adding a transformation, but a transformation is added for you when you are working with a data table like the one you have, Boris, and you double click on one of the cells. You can replace all the occurrences or just one, and that creates a transformation of that replace a value or a specific value. Okay, we have a comment from JP Lee. Will be extremely helpful to be able to name transformations so you can identify them easily, essentially when needed, when you have more than few. Yes. So if you open your data canvas, Boris, and we talked about that before, open the data canvas, and JP is talking about having you don't have any transformations there, but as you build transformations, maybe I should have shown mine instead. But yeah, the idea is to name, maybe put a label or something on any of these so you can identify quickly, because otherwise I have to go like, okay, what's going on here? Oh, okay, I did a pivot, and this is for oh, okay, so this comes from this is financial data, this is HR. Okay, so I would like to call this HR. Sometimes, by looking at the file name can give you a hint, but I agree with you. It's a great idea. It's a common request. It's taking into consideration, and I'm sure it's already there. I'm going to put the link in the ideas portal for you to vote for that idea. Okay, Boris.
Great. I will pick up from where I left, right? So this was the data set from the World Bank. So we want to unpivot it. We want to transpose those columns for them to become rows, and then we have all those. We keep the values as they are. I mean, not necessarily always the case, but most from my personal experience, we would like to have the year as a column, right? So I'm just going to show very quickly how we can do that with a quick transformation. So if I click on my data source and then click on the three dots, add transformation, and then I can choose from all that menu what I want to do. So in this case, I want to unpivot, and then I can click on insert. So it's very handy. Let me make that screen a bit bigger. So I can choose all the columns that I want to transform in a way. So all those year columns, I can add them to my bottom window here, columns to transform. And all those columns on the top that they're left, country code, series name, and series code, I can keep them as they are. So the very powerful thing here is that we can have the sample underneath, we can have the preview, so we can see straight away how the data will be transformed. Now, keep in mind, this is not done yet. This is just a preview of what will happen once I click OK. But straight away, you can see the country code is a column. We have the series name, which is those are our different economic metrics, the code for them. And then the year, as you can see, has become a column itself, and then we have the value for each year. Now, this has happened again with no code whatsoever. I can just change the column name from category to year, and value, I will keep it as a value because it makes sense, right? So once I click OK, I have my transformation created. Click OK again, and then we can see when I go back to my sorry, let me keep it in the data canvas. We can see that it has changed from every year to be a column to right, to a single column. So this is super powerful feature. You don't need to know any Python or R or Java or anything like that to do it. And just to elevate it further here, we can see that our year column is a bit right. It's a bit it's not clean, right? So we have 2014 and then square brackets year 2014. So what I'm going to show you to how to do is we're going to trim that part so we can convert this this column into purely numerical column. Now, just for the sake of the demo, what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete this this table. I'm going to go back to the data canvas here, and I'm going to add another transformation here. But this time I'm going to click on calculate and replace column, because this is what we want to do, right? We want to replace the year column. So I'm going to insert it and I'm going to select the column to replace. It will be year. And here in expression, obviously, we need to be familiar with the different expressions, but what we can do is we can use the function left. Now, for those of you who are familiar maybe with SQL, this is one of the most common functions that they're used. I don't know what you think, guys. I think it's one of the things that analysts use the most, right? Left or right to trim the columns, to clean them. So I'm just going to do that. And the powerful thing is once you find the function that you're interested in, you can straight away underneath here see explanation and examples of how to use it, right? So I'm just going to insert this one. And inside the square brackets, I'm going to insert the year column. And then I'm going to specify the number of characters that I want to trim. Now that's 4. Because we want the first four digits, right? To keep them in our column and keep the name as year. This is the
And just
sample
to add
result
to
that we
this,
see. Yep.
Boris, just to add to this, we recently added the ability to leave a comment here in the custom expression. You put double forward slashes, and then you can comment anything. For example, if you want, let's say, let the user know like what you did here. Exactly.
Yeah. So here, if you're obviously here, we're trying to elevate the simple things, but once you start building a more complex expressions, I think this is a very powerful thing to do. Obviously, best practices, coding best practices, right? So we can
Here's a
click on
quick
also
tip.
on preview here.
Here's a
Yeah,
quick tip,
go ahead.
Boris. You can press the Control key and use your mouse wheel to increase the font size, so we can see the expression. Control and mouse wheel. You can.
Oh, here it is. That's great.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Yes, that's nice.
That's great.
I don't know if it's documented, but it's a good tip.
Yeah, this is helpful, especially like when it comes to complex expressions.
Absolutely. So we can preview, right? And we can preview how it's going to look like. So you can see that this is how it was before, right? We have all those all that column with the extra characters, and then we have our new column that it's clean, and we just have year in it, right? So without further ado, I can just click OK, and then click OK again. And then we have our year column that now it's converted directly as just integers. However, you can see that it's still a string because I didn't change that. And I didn't change it because I wanted to show you something. As a new user of Spotfire, I think this is one of the most impressive things that someone can experience. So I'm just going to go again to actually let me get out of the data canvas. Let me import a table just to enjoy our data wrangling here, how it looks like. And I'm going to hover over data and analysis, and I'm going to select year, the column that I have just transformed, and click on details. So This allows me not only to modify some basic things such as data types. So as you can see from string, I can convert it into a integer, real, date, time, date time. Now I'm just going to keep it as an integer for now. And once it's converted as an integer, you can already see some descriptive statistics here. Now this is quite powerful, because usually you need to do a couple of steps to achieve that with other software, with other tools, and here this is done without any it's just there, right? So you just need to open it. Now we can see the distributions here. Obviously this is just years. We have equal number of years, so might not be the most interesting thing in this particular example, but if we have some continuous data, we can find out the distributions and so on. And we can also see the unique values. We can see that we have the data from 2014 to 2023 that I can validate that it's correct because I extracted the last 10 years of data from the World Bank. But it's a great, for me, it's a great feature that usually requires a couple of steps. And if you're going to use some sort of code, like let's say Python, you need to know the commands, and sometimes you might get confused. You might need to Google. It might add a bit of extra time for you. And here, for me, that was the most fascinating feature of Spotfire.
So let me interject here, Boris, for a little bit. Remember when I was talking about the data wrangling process, that's the part that we're talking about, the profiling. So the profiling is analyzing and summarizing the data to understand the structure, quality, and statistical properties. Is basic, but it's already there out of the box, so you can understand, the statistics for each of the columns that you were showing, Boris. And Spotfire takes into consideration all all those concepts and put them into practice.
Yep, absolutely. And just to continue with that, now you can go over some other columns that we're not going to transform, but you're going to get a lot of insights, very quick insights here. So this has been transformed, but I'm not going to stop here because I'm just going to show you something very cool that I found as well. Now, this raw data has just the country code. So AFG, as you can see, for all those parameters and years, then we have countries by abbreviation, by code. Sorry. So I have another data set that has the abbreviation and has the series code, and it has the country name. Now, again, usually we need to do some sort of joins. We might need to know a bit of SQL or whatever we're going to do that transformation, and it's like it's doing it a bit blindly. But in this particular case, I'm just going to show you how we can do that. Now, I'm just going to browse like a file, and I have this file called country name. It's another CSV file. I'm going to open it. Here's the quick preview. As you can see, I have country name, country code, series name, and series code. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to choose, instead of add as a new table, I'm going to say add as columns 2. Now, this is chosen as this columns to world data. That was my first data set. And I'm going to click here on settings. Now, this is going to allow me to explore the join settings. So if you want to perform some sort of left join or full outer join or inner join, now all that comes with a very nice and interactive explanation here of how it happens, and a preview of what the data set at the end will look like, the minute table. So let's say that I'm interested in a left join, so I can just remind myself how that works. And here I can have the preview, and I can see the new data that comes in, that it's only the country name, right? So I have all those three columns that they're matching with my world data set, world data, and it's used as a key column to make the join. So I think that's a very, very cool feature here that we can explore again, even if you don't know SQL, how to code that, how to hard code it, or any other language. Here you can do it code free without any struggle. So I'm just going to click OK and click OK again, and then I have again the workflow. Here, from what I have done, we have that transformation, which is not really a transformation, it's our join, added columns. And again, if I hover over the data sources, I can see the initial versions, the added columns, and the final version. Now I can see that I have here my country name from the country name CSV, the year transformed, and all that in a matter of just even a minute or two. I took longer, obviously, to explain, to talk about it, because I found it very cool. But it's one of the most efficient and code-free solutions that I have come across.
Oh, great, Boris. Yeah, it's great. I don't know if you experience with other tools the ease of data wrangling out of the box, everything in one software. Most of the time, I hear that you need another software to do the data wrangling, another software to do this, and another software to do all that. When everything you can do it yourself without having to rely on another process in a Spotfire.
Exactly.
And you can see this. I'm sorry. Sorry.
I just want to say, like, breaking all those silos and having a centralized platform for all those things, and no need to worry of, oh, I need to learn SQL here in order to do my join, or I need to ask my colleague. You don't have to. This saves a lot of time.
Yeah, great. Okay, we're ready for the next topic. We're going to talk about data function possibilities, and these are some of the data functions that we have. But Atir is going to talk about the data functions whenever you're ready, Atir.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so there are a couple of ways to create a data function in Spotfire. For me personally, what I would do is I will first go and then check our data functions exchange, because chances that what you're looking for, or like what you're trying to do, has been already written and then published in our exchange, and then that will save you a lot of time. And then you can see we have a lot of data functions here, and then the only thing that you need is you just need to download the data function and then bring it to Spotfire. So I've downloaded one data function here, and I will show you how to bring the data function to Spotfire. Okay, so in Spotfire, you can simply go to data function properties, and then insert, let's see, register new, and then you can import, and then that will import a data function from a file that you downloaded. Let me see.
There are different ways to import data function. That's one way. You can also drag and drop that file that you download from the Exchange into the Spotfire, and
yes, exactly. That's even easier. And then once you
the file panel, you can also click on the plus sign and or the data function flyout, and then you can also get it from there, right?
Yes, and then so this is one. Yeah, this is one way, and the other way is, as you said, Jose, you can click on the flyout, and then you will see like the data functions that you have, let's say, added to your like you recently used or available to you, and then you can also look into the local Spotfire library and then to see like what's available over there. For example, if we want to, let's say, try to bring, for example, this data function, date time now. Okay, that's perfect. Let's see, because here people can add a lot of data functions, so maybe some of them like for a specific use case, and then you can see some of them are written in R, some of them are Python data function, and then anyone you can, let's say, select, it will open this visual dialog, and then that's what basically that's all you need to configure the data function. These are all the required parameters. You can configure them. And what is nice here is you have a lot of flexibility on how to feed the data functions parameters. I mean, it's not only a static value. You can feed it through like a search expression, a custom expression, or maybe if you want to like feed it through a document property, you can do that using the custom expression. And then you can feed like whatever document property here. And let's say you want the user to interact real time with the data function, you can tie that document property to, for example, a drop down or maybe like an input box. So possibilities are unlimited. And then the other way is you can basically, if you like to write code, you can start writing your data function. Let's say you have a very complex logic, you are not able to find it within the posted exchange. You can simply just open this editor and then write your R or Python code. Or if you have the code somewhere already written, you can import your Python code. And then also the other way to consume data functions in Spotfire, we have what's called a Python, a Spotfire DSML package. It's a collection of around 180 data functions in processing time series, machine learning, pre-processing. You can simply import that, and then just like our colleague Adam here, what he did, he imported the smoothing module from the time series and then performed a couple of smoothing techniques to time series data here. So this is how to create data functions in Spotfire. As you can see, there are a couple of ways. It just depends on the, let's say, the need and then the use case. But what I would say is I would firstly look at the data function exchange on our community just to see if what you are looking for has been already published. Then you may want to also look at what we have on Spotfire DSML package. If it's not there, then you may want to proceed to write your data function either in R or Python, and then they're both natively supported in Spotfire.
But you will be surprised how many functions there are already. So don't reinvent the wheel, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then this, like usually these data functions on the exchange, they went through a very, let's say, rigorous testing and review. So I guess most likely you will get the performance better using them.
Yeah, great. Okay, sounds good. So so here's a summary of the data functions available in Exchange. Anything from anomaly detection, clustering, connection, evaluation, exploration, all of these, and then the data wranglings are here that we covered. But also, I want to step back a little bit about data functions. What is a data function and how you create it? So you can create your own data function in R or Python. You can use your own environment, R Studio or Visual Studio, whatever you feel comfortable with, or even you can just Google it or ask the Copilot to help you with the data function, and then you copy and paste that code into the data function. When you register a new one, all you have to do is define your parameters, what type of parameter it is. It's a column, it's whatever, and then your output is going to output a value or a vector or a data frame, data table. You define that and you're ready to go. Everything else is done by Spotfire. It creates a user interface where you can easily enter the parameters with a description that you configure, and it's very nice and easy. And
I want to share something to say really quick on the data function.
Sure.
Just to show. So once you are done with your data function configuration, if you go to the data canvas, you will see you have like a new section for data functions. And then if you look here, you will see a visual representation of your data function. So these are all, let's say, the input parameters that you used in your data function. and then these are the output tables, or like whatever your data function is outputting. And then when you click on one of these, you can simply get like information about what is this parameter, and then where it's coming from. And if you also click on this gear, it will bring up back the data function dialog box. Yeah.
So another great way to get the data functions is from the Python data functions community and PyPy. You want to talk about this here as well?
Yeah,
the DSML toolkit.
Yeah, so this is a Python module. You can simply download it from or install it from PyPy. It's called Spotfire DSML, and it has multiple submodules. So you can do time series processing, modeling, forecasting. You can do a lot of geospatial, machine learning. You can do model explainability, and then we keep adding functions to it. I mean, the total functions right now, it's 182 functions. So that's a large amount of functions. You probably will find what you're looking for there, or like even if you cannot find, you most likely can, for example, mix and match, or maybe a couple of functions to perform the task that you're trying to do. And then, yeah, we release frequent updates for this, so we keep adding functions to it. I would recommend that anyone who's trying to do any, let's say, data science related tasks, or like anything with the time series, we've added a lot of functionalities over there in terms of pre-processing, modeling, smoothing. You have a lot of options over there, so you don't need, let's say, to rewrite your functions. It's already there, and you just need to like import it with one line of code and then use it.
Awesome. Perfect. So excellent. We're going to post that link so you can explore and see whether if you're familiar with PyPy, then you are all set. So let's continue with the next topic. Publishing and sharing is kind of the part of the authoring process of a Spotfire. Is the last piece when you want to share and publish, and also when you are working with someone else creating this analysis. We already talked about the collaboration panel and whatnot, but also I want to share you some best practices and some things when it comes to saving your analysis. So I just open these sales and marketing. It comes from the examples. If you go to the recommendations, you will see them down here. I open the sales and marketing, and let's say you're making changes. And what I typically do is to keep, if I'm working in something, I just keep saving my version. But I make a copy. So my working version is always that. I make changes, I save constantly. And then when I finish a milestone, maybe a tab or something, I'm satisfied and it's kind of ready for production, or maybe it's just a milestone. What I do is I save a copy as, and I save it either a file or a library item. So I save it as a library item, and I put a version, and up to whenever I reach to version 5, I override the first version. So I go maybe A, B, C, D, and E, and then I just keep rotating. That was on the old days. The new ways is that you have a version history. So let me just go ahead and save this into my my library. Where's my individuals? So let me go to my folder, and let's call it. Let's save it here. So sales and marketing. I'm gonna save it there. Well, I forgot to put a version, but I normally put like a version there, and I'm ready to see it on the web. So when I save it in the library, automatically you have the ability to look it at the web, and you can copy the link, and it will open up in the web player. So I open it, I put my punching my credentials, and now I'm ready to share it that way. I can edit on the web as well by switching if I have the right permissions. If not, I can get rid of all these menus, all these things. So the things that you look in the demo gallery is actually the Spotfire. So if I go to Spotfire demos, these are the Spotfire, but there we remove a bunch of items here. Let's look another one, for example, this one, and then in this one I don't have any menu, but in this one I do. But yeah, you can look at that at those options when you are publishing. You want to take care of those things that you want to do or not.
And again, this is also done code free, right? This is something that it's one of the capabilities that we take them, they're forgiven, right, in Spotfire. But in reality, it helps breaking all those silos between within the data world and within domain experts, and straight away you can access everything without any particular knowledge or any effort, in a way, right?
Right. This is like the authoring part when you develop an analysis and you want to share, and then the executives want to play with the data, look at the insights, maybe take decisions based on their input. Maybe you create a guided analysis for them to look at, and then it's ready for them to see that.
Yeah, exactly. It's super handy for asynchronous check, right? So having a lot of people working agile, this would help, like having some constant checkpoints and providing feedback without needing any sort of extra effort, extra meetings, and so on.
Exactly. And another cool thing that was added in recent Spotfire versions is the when I view in the library, I can see, for example, let's look at the favorites. Do I have any? I go to my folder directly, and I can go to maybe one of these files, and here I can see the version history. So I have a couple of versions that I have here, and the Spotfire, every time you save, is going to keep a copy of that file for you in the library. You can turn that on and off depending on your resources. Maybe you have thousands of users in your company that are saving these files, and you want to limit that. So at the moment, we don't have the option to follow that process of just keeping maybe the last 5 versions, so you don't have like a lot of them, because it's saving the entire version. But we're improving that. This is like version 1. You guys asked for version control, and there it is. And thanks to your feedback and input, now the request is either to override, to have the number of maximum history limit, so you can delete the last one. But ideally, you want to have the complete history, and that you might want to behave it as GitHub, that only saves the difference, and that will not take that much space. So I'm going to put the link that right there for the ideas portal. If you wanna vote for it, this is the one. But I'm going to put that link out there for you guys to vote. Anything else regarding version control, guys, that you might think of, or from the audience?
No, you mentioned all.
Okay, great. So yeah, I'm gonna share that, and let me then wrap up. We're ran out of time. Just remember that we have the YouTube channel. You can see the versions there every month, the first Tuesday of every month. It's live, different channels, YouTube. This is the ideas portal, ideas.spotfire.com. You can also email, share us the doctor@spotfire.com, send us an email, and that's it. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you all.
See you next month.
All right. I lost my screen. Oh, here it is. Okay, thank you.